Hello students, in this session I would like to discuss with you the assignment key. Let us see each and every question with the help of some solutions or examples. Students, first question I am reading. What is primary urine? Renal filtrate formed or the primary urine which is formed by the glomerular tubules. So the renal filtrate formed by the glomerular tubules because of ultrafiltration is called as a primary urine. Second question, students. After the age of 40 years, how do the nephrons function? The affinity of nephrons after the age of 40 years generally decreases. So what it means? After the age of 40 years, for every 10 years, which means during 40 years of age, the 10% of nephrons, the total number of nephrons which are there in the kidneys, among those total number of nephrons, 10% of nephrons will fail to function. At the age of 50 years, again 10% nephrons will fail to function. So, the affinity of functioning of nephrons after the age of 40 years will be decreases. Third question, students. Write about the mechanism of urine formation. There are four major stages seen in the mechanism of urine formation. What are those four stages, Nana? Let us see. First stage is, if you see the first stage, glomerular filtration. First stage is glomerular filtration. What do you mean by glomerular filtration? I will explain. Let us see. Second step is tubular reabsorption. Tubular reabsorption. Where does the tubular reabsorption takes place? I want to explain. Third step, tubular secretion. What is third step? Tubular secretion. And fourth step is formation of hypertonic urine. Fourth step is formation of hypertonic urine. With the help of these four different steps, we can learn the formation of concentration of urine. First step, students, filtration that takes place inside the glomerular tubules. Exactly, you can see the glomerular tubules here. Fine microscopic tubules that are formed by the efferent arteriole and efferent arteriole in the Bowman's capsule is called glomerular tubules. These red color microscopic thin network of tubules are called glomerular tubules. While the blood flows from efferent arteriole to efferent arteriole, blood pressure will be increased inside the glomerular tubules. While the blood pressure increased in glomerular tubules, pressure filtration takes place at microscopic level, hence it is called as a ultrafiltration. Because of ultrafiltration, useful substances like glucose, except proteins, glucose, minerals, water, generally absorbed into the lumen of Bowman's capsule. With the help of some special movements, these substances enters into the proximal convoluted tubule. So hence, in the proximal convoluted tubule, second step takes place called tubular reabsorption. Why it is called reabsorption? Why? Because first time these substances are absorbed by the glomerular tubules. Second time they are going to be absorbed by the proximal convoluted tubule. Hence it is called a reabsorption. Second step occurs in proximal convoluted tubule. 75% of the water generally absorbed by the proximal convoluted tubule, that is called first convoluted tubule of the nephron. Here the concentration of renal filtrate in the proximal convoluted tubule almost equal to the blood except the presence of blood cells. So that much concentration is there for renal filtrate while it enters into the proximal convoluted tubule. Slowly, a remaining renal filtrate enters into the hairpin shaped tubule of nephron called loop of Henle. What it is called? Loop of Henle. Now the loop of Henle absorbs certain kind of materials like water, certain kind of electrolytes like sodium, chlorine, potassium, etc. So remaining renal filtrate slowly enters into the distal convoluted tubule. So hence here in distal convoluted tubule, while dilute urine or dilute renal filtrate enters. What do you mean by dilute urine? The urine that contains highly useful nutrients is called as a dilute renal filtrate. Now, from the loop of Henle, renal filtrate enters into the DCT. Now, the DCT contains renal filtrate that is in dilute condition, that contains more number of nutrients. So, hence, while if these nutrients are absorbed by the distal convoluted tubule, then only the hypertonic urine will be formed. So, to absorb the useful nutrients that are present in the renal filtrate, dilute renal filtrate of distal convoluted tubule, brain sends an or important hormone called vasopressin. What it is called? Vasopressin. What do you mean by vasopressin? Vasopressin is also known as antidiuretic hormone. What it is called? Antidiuretic hormone. When highly concentrated urine to be passed out at this moment, so vasopressin released into the DCT. When vasopressin released into the DCT, immediately with the help of vasopressin, useful nutrients will be absorbed from the renal filtrate of DCT. So, this kind of absorption is called facilitated reabsorption. What it is called? Facilitated reabsorption. Reabsorption that takes place by vasopressin in the dilute urine of DCT is called as a facilitated reabsorption. Lack of vasopressin, it leads to excretion of dilute urine. That condition is called as diabetes. What is that condition called? Diabetes. So, during diabetic condition, we excrete dilute urine which contains minerals and nutrients. Okay, children? And one more point. When vasopressin released, useful nutrients will be absorbed. At this stage, here from the peritubular capillaries, so these red color structures are called peritubular capillaries. What are these called? From these peritubular capillaries, the blood absorbs. You know that peritubular capillaries contains blood. While the blood flows in peritubular capillaries, from this distal convoluted tubule, useful nutrients will be absorbed into the blood which is flows inside the peritubular capillaries. At the same time, the excretory substances like creatinine, nitrogenous substances like ammonia and also other kind of substances will be enters into the DCT from peritubular capillaries. Slowly, the nitrogenous substances enters into the collecting duct. Through this collecting duct, the nitrogenous waste materials with the help of ureter, it goes into the urinary bladder. So, this is the way how excretory system or our nephrons works that are present in the kidneys, isn't it? So, here during excretion of or formation of hypertonic urine, you know that 75% of the water is reabsorbed by the proximal convoluted tubule. You know that 10% of the water is absorbed by the remaining tubules of the nephron. Okay. So, anyway, some of the electrolytes like potassium, calcium and also sodium, chlorine, these are absorbed by the loop of Henle. Okay. Remaining substances absorbed by the distal convoluted tubule with the help of vasopressin by a process called facilitated reabsorption. Finally, remaining constituents and remaining renal filtrate enters into the collecting duct. Here the collecting duct absorbs 10% of water, what it is present in the whatever it is present inside the renal filtrate. So, remaining renal filtrate, which is highly concentrated renal filtrate. Why? Because while the renal filtrate present in the distal convoluted tubule, with the help of vasopressin, all kind of nutrients are absorbed by the blood that flows inside the peritubular capillaries. In the same way, while these nutrients are absorbed, the renal filtrate become highly concentrated. Why? Because from the peritubular capillaries, hydrogen, other kind of substances like nitrogenous substances are entered into the renal filtrate. When this hydrogen and nitrogenous substances are mixed with the renal filtrate, the concentration of renal filtrate increases, hence it becomes into hypertonic. So, when the hypertonic urine slowly enters into the collecting duct. Through the collecting duct, the highly concentrated hypertonic urine will be excreted. This is the assignment key for the chapter excretion and a concept mechanism of urine formation. Remaining assignment keys we are going to discuss in the further classes. Until then, be safe. Have a good day.